Hello, everybody. Russell Hill, your host of WTF, and that's What the Fixed Ops to all you people out there.
Hello, I'm Charity Dunning. I'm the co-host here, and today we have Kate Beirowski. Is that right, Kate?
Great pronunciation, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. And you're the sales director at Wrenchway, correct?
Yep.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into automotive.
All right. So I'm Kate Beirowski, and I always start with who I am as a person, not necessarily who I am for work. So first and foremost, I'm a mom. I've got two littles at home, not as little as Charity's, but I have a 5-year-old and 8-year-old. So big deals that they're getting old. And then I'm a wife. And really, I love the automotive world, which is crazy. So you kind of asked how I got into it. I am the sales director for Wrenchway, and I am very passionate about helping better this industry. And I see what the future is going to look like without technicians, and how we need to better what we're doing and helping support them and bettering their careers and working with good managers. And there are so many great people in this industry, and that's why I love it. And I want those technicians to find them. So that's really my passion, is really working in this industry to better it.
I got to tell you, listen, for everybody out there, it was NADA is when I met her in person first. I think we already had Jay on, I think, or something at the time. Probably. Not really sure, but your booth wasn't really too far from us, et cetera. And then all of a sudden, Kate is freaking everywhere, man. I mean, mastermind, Eric and Joe and what they do, with Service Drive Live, Parts Girl, FixedOPS 5, Corey. I think, I don't even know how many you've been on. You've been on a plethora of them. And then we got to meet again in person at the first ever SDL, which there's already another one planned. So really excited about that. But the PowerPoint that you did and the things that you talked about, you can tell you're extremely passionate about this. Not only technicians, advisors, and people, and the things that are important that we all need to look at for the ones that are involved in this kind of stuff, because things are really moving for fixed operations, but for women.
Yes.
But for women, tell us a little bit about women and what's going on in the industry. What's your take?
Hello, everyone. I wanted to tell you about a workshop we're holding at NADA 2023. We're covering how EV adoption rates will impact fixed operations in the future. We'll show you real and meaningful data that might just put you at ease. Or maybe not. You'll have to come see. Come join us at our workshop, How Electric Vehicles Will Change Fixed Operations. We'll see you there.
Oh, I could go a lot of different ways right now. So as a female in this industry, and I have a daughter, it is so important to me to make sure that women have that equal opportunity. And I have always worked in the trades. And it's funny because I grew up in the most traditional house. My dad was a trades worker, electrician. My mom was a stay-at-home wife. We fed him dinner. We handed him his plate. We cleaned up. He had 3 girls, and
oh my.
It was funny because he also called us his boys and also treated us like the boys too. We're the ones who cut the lawn. We're the ones who were pulling weeds. It was funny that we lived in such a traditional household, but it was instilled in us that the girls can do what the guys are doing. And it was interesting. So I've always had that mindset of I can do anything. And I think my marriage is interesting. Of course, every marriage is very interesting, but
right.
The typical standpoint of my husband is a teacher, an elementary school teacher, and I am in sales. I am working in a man's industry, and he is working in a female's, and he's home with the kids all summer, and mom's traveling for work, and I'm not always the one cooking dinner. And I think that's an important aspect for me from a personal level. And I say all of this because this is what it can be like for anyone. And in this industry, I think it's important that I have a completely different opinion to be able to speak my mind, be forward. And I personally have been criticized for being a female. I have been put down and passed over for a promotion over this. And it's something that I'm not a quiet human. Russell has already said that of I'm bebopping around and I have a lot of energy, but also I'm outspoken. And I think that's an important aspect because there are so many opportunities in this industry, and females do have a different perspective, and they have a seat at the table. And I'm very proud to be able to not only help pave that way and show other people that they can do this, but really be a part of that change. And I've joined WOCAN as an ally. I have been in the Women in Leadership or Women in Automotive different events, and it's an important aspect to not only change the mind of women, but also men. Because at NADA, it's a lot of white men in navy blue suits walking around, and they're over the age of 40. Like, that is what our industry looks like.
Oh my God.
50. Sorry, Russell. I don't know. We're probably over the age of 50, but you know exactly what I mean. Walking around NADA, you see the same person in the same suit all the time. And it's like, where the hell are the ladies? Let's go.
Yeah.
But it's changing. And I got to tell you, Charity, being a chief marketing officer for our company, we have gotten, I believe, some exposure that we probably wouldn't have gotten maybe a while longer, whatever, because she is an executive and she is in that particular role. And I see much more. I've never been afraid of women in automotive whatsoever. But there's a paradigm shift going on now, and your passion, your enthusiasm, and your excitement, and you being outspoken. I don't know how the dynamics work in your house, but I bet it's probably pretty good, really, with your husband being a teacher and etc.
50-50.
Yeah.
And I think that's a positive thing for my kids to see. And I talk about my daughter, but guess what? It's great for my son to see that mom's a boss, like going out and working. And I don't mean that to be conceited, but like also for him to see, like, it's okay for dad to play that role at home too. And it's an important aspect. And in the workplace, I think it's important. One thing that's really cool about Wrenchway is, so I run our sales department. Sarah is a female running our marketing department. Lisa runs our recruiting department. That really the leaders of our organization are female, besides for our owners and development team. Like, it's cool to see that we all are at the table. So
we are passionate about helping consumers find a great, trusted place to get their car fixed. We have 4 million uniques who come to our website each month for car repair information, and we help them find our REPAIRPAL certified locations. We also have amazing partners like USAA that offer our REPAIRPAL certified network to their customers and members. So how are we going to help dealers? Well, dealers sell 100% of the cars, but over time, after the warranty expires, the repairs go up and the revenue potential goes up, but people keep leaving the dealer over time after the warranty. By years 10 or 12, only about 20% of people are still servicing at the dealer. Why is that? There's one dominant reason, and that is price perception. And being REPAIRPAL certified helps you overcome the primary price perception problem. So come let us show you how REPAIRPAL can help you too.
I don't know how long you've been in automotive. Maybe you can let us know, but you've mentioned a few roadblocks so far, but I definitely wanted to ask you that question. As a woman, what are some of the roadblocks that you have had in the automotive industry over the course of your career?
So as a roadblock, as a sales leader, I have led men that were on my sales team that were older than me and that were just men. And there is a respect factor that is different, where they felt the need to go above me on multiple occasions. And I'm like, I'm your leader, I'm your boss. I've been here to support you since day one. Why don't you come to me? And being able to call that out like that is more of an ego hit and like a roadblock for me as a personal, because you have to be confident in yourself to survive in this industry. And I think that's an important factor. And not only, I have gone for positions where I have been passed up for men, and they're like, oh, well, it's different, years of experience. And when you know deep down
That's crap.
Why,
Yeah.
who's the qualified person for it? And again, that's an ego hit in a roadblock that you have to be able to get back up and be confident again. And that is hard. That is something that I could have given up. I could have gone towards an HR route, which is more female dominated, instead of being headstrong, which I'm a Taurus, like it is just totally me, to be able to go through with that. But like, those are definitely roadblocks. And I have been in automotive for just actually about 5 years. But before that, I was in the diesel side for almost 8 or 9. So I've always worked in like the trades in general as a female, and kind of where some of those roadblocks come in.
Particularly your presentation and some of the other rooms I'm in with you, you are very headstrong. You are very outspoken, and I'm a Taurus just like you. I understand. There are certain traits about a Taurus.
It really is. It is
really
weird because I don't believe
Okay,
in a
what
lot
is
of
your
that stuff.
what is the day of your birth?
May 18th.
18th. Okay. All right. Yeah, you're a full.
When is your birthday?
26 April.
Okay.
So we're both right there. And yeah, there are certain traits. Sometimes I'm not going to digress. So when you did your PowerPoint, I was and listening to you in these rooms, I'm really you get really enthralled in this stuff because you got Gen Z and Gen Y coming in, and the stuff that we're talking about that we're involved with personally. I think everybody should make the time to be in some of these rooms because we're talking about things that really make a difference today. Fixed operations is where it's at. Having technicians, having advisors. But it's not just about training, like what's coming up this week on SDL, et cetera. It's not just about in and out coaching, et cetera. And you walk away and they're all doing the same stuff again. We're talking about a mindset change, finding their why, because they want to be a part of a team. They want to know that they count, they matter, that they make a difference. And, things have come up like 4-day work weeks and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are and what you believe about that?
Yeah, I think people want both. They want the work-life balance. And I think it's fair. It's fair to ask for that, because if I think about it, as a mother, as a spouse, I want to be able to spend time. Like you're working to be able to live. You're not living to work. And I feel like that's where things have been different, where in previous generations, people were okay just going, making money and coming home. And they didn't need that pride factor because their pride was fulfilling the household. Well, now you get a lot of pride in what you do and you want to enjoy what you're doing. You want to be a part of that. But also with that, you still want to be proud of your family and what you're doing there. So I think there's a paradigm shift from that of what's going to make you proud and involved with it. And work shouldn't be 80 hours a week and focused on just making money. I want to be able to take a vacation. Sometimes I work with both dealerships and independent shops. And we were actually talking about it this morning is, woohoo, you get a 1 week of vacation after a year. That's mind blowing to me, because I have to work an entire year for me to take a day off. Like, are you kidding me? Every Wednesday morning, I volunteer at my daughter's school. And that's something I want to be able to do, to be able to support her and support the classroom, but also I need to work. And it's all about that balance. So I am a very strong believer. I wish I could work 4 days. I really do. But that's never going to happen. And I'm okay with that. But I think that's an important aspect for these people that are busting their butts. They're doing the work. And if you can balance it and offer that 3-day work week, as an employer, you should be proud of yourself for being able to offer that. And being able to, if you're offering maternity and paternity type of benefits, that's actually, we've been doing leadership meetings, and I'm so proud of our company to being able to offer that. And I told my CEO and president, like, you should be proud you're offering this, that a lot of places don't. And I think it is an important aspect, because mental health, we all know, has become much more of a bigger thing, and having that pressure and being able to balance it, it's so important. So I am all for all the benefits.
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Get the people, the workers need to return that.
So I remember, it doesn't happen anymore, but it wasn't really that long ago. Because I work for myself, but I mean, you work for a year for a week's paid vacation, and if you want to take it or try to schedule it, they throw this guilt trip on you. Like, are you serious? You want to take a vacation? Oh yeah,
you earned that.
During COVID, it seems like and this might just be my perception because I'm working at home in my office, I got my kids around, but it seems like work has been less of a separate entity. It's not like, okay, I'm getting up and going to work, and it's kind of a mystery from my family's perspective about what I do. They pretty much know what I do because I'm always here. So the two have kind of merged for me. But and I'm not sure, there's some mixture. Some people work at home, some people a little bit of both, or how do you approach the work-life balance in the post-COVID world?
Great question.
That is a good question. And this is not necessarily for like a technician or someone who's going into the office. But if you are working remotely, like that's the part of working from home I don't like, because I struggle to separate it, where I have always made the commitment of I only get to see my kids like 2 hours a day. Like, is that not sad? Like if they go to bed at 7 or 7:30 and I'm getting home by 5, and then I'm cooking dinner and shoving them into the bathtub, you don't get a lot of time. Where I do like to be able to leave, turn it off for 2.5 hours, and then I'll check things at home. But I like that divide of I am done with work for at least now, versus working from home. I have my laptop on the island, I'm cooking, I'm doing both, and I don't turn off as well. So, I mean, that's my opinion of it, is I like that definition. Or like if I was working from home for long periods of time, that's my office. And once I leave my office, I'm done. I have to have that separation, but that also could be a me thing. I don't know.
I was thinking about Charity and I, and she's, we wouldn't even be where we're at without her. She's such an amazing woman and extremely talented. But hey, when, if something's not right, trust me, she says something.
Mm-hmm.
She does. And when that happens, I certainly like to listen, because it doesn't happen that often, because she can pretty much just go with the flow and do what she needs to do. She's got pretty much full autonomy. Don't you agree for the most part, Charity?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So I was sitting here thinking that she puts together and helps me organize, thank you very much, with PowerPoints and stuff for like Digital Dealer, up and coming in ADA, which we're real excited about. And something I've heard before, but I've used it a lot recently, is this 5% tipping point, right? In any industry, there's a slow adoption, like EVs right now are teetering at about 4, close to 5%, et cetera, et cetera. But usually at about 5%, when you look in history, when things like that happen, the adoption accelerates after 5%. Do you see that kind of adoption happening with women in the marketplace since we're into post-COVID or pre-COVID? Has it accelerated?
Well, I think it has accelerated from a technician standpoint, and we're slowly moving the needle within high schools and younger students, because everything is STEM based. And when people think STEM, they think engineering and being like just a different level. And I think there's more awareness to what the technician roles have. When I say that, there is so much more work to do from that standpoint of understanding that there's an opportunity. And I think that's where we work really hard to bring more awareness to high schools, honestly, at trade schools, you're too late to impact specifically women, but awareness of the industry. And I think we are seeing more kids going towards those things, but I don't have data to back that up, but that's just kind of my gut and who I've spoken to. But I think that we are starting to see more. 20 years ago, would you ever see a female technician? Very, very rare.
No.
So
No.
I think that's different, but I also am seeing more leadership being women. So the service managers, service directors, for FixedOPS directors, I connect with a ton of them over LinkedIn, and literally every single time if we're talking, I'm like, I love seeing a woman in the industry, like a female in there, because that is important to call that out and say, like, you've gone over a lot of hurdles to get there, and like, I see you. And it's not always competition, because I don't know. Charity, you can probably kind of back me up on this, of what, like, sometimes women feel like another one's kind of attacking and not supportive. And it's like, you got to support the women in automotive. When you see one, like, you got to boast them up, because it was hard to get to where they're at.
That's true. And, that brings me to my next question, where, women who are entering the trades or into the automotive industry, what do you think that they could do better to get to their career heights that they're trying to get to?
So I was on a panel last month and we talked a little bit about this, and someone suggested like just ignore things, like ignore the passive comments, ignore what's going on, just roll with it. Well, this is called what the F, so I can say it, like bullshit. Like don't, I had to think if I was allowed to swear or not.
You can.
No, do not back down. You need to stand your ground and be proud of what you're doing. That is scary. So as I say that, I also would recommend if a technician is looking to go in this and choose a shop, you have to ask specific questions and put that service manager on the spot and say, how are you planning to support me as a female? Because you don't have any right now. Are you going to back me up to make sure I am treated with respect? Because that's a concern I have. Most shops do not have locker rooms for females. What is that expectation going to look like for me? And not that I want you to build me a brand new locker room, but also how is this going to operate? Because I would love to work here, but I also need to make sure that you have my back, because that's, I think, an important aspect. And that it's intimidating for me to walk into a service center still. I am still intimidated to be able to do that because I question myself. Do I know enough? Am I confident enough in that? Even standing in front of you guys at the STL event, I was like, okay, I better know my stuff because I am presenting, I am telling them, and I'm supposed to be the expert. So I think building the confidence is huge, especially as a service manager when hiring a female.
And incidentally, you knocked it out of the park.
Thank you.
You did.
I tried.
Yeah.
I think it was a beer. I handed out beer for everyone. So
Okay.
I also think that helped a little bit. So.
These are tough men and women. There wasn't that many women at the SDL live event, but you are surrounded by some extremely talented, proficient people in the automotive industry. And I'm going to tell you that you command and you have every one of those people's respect.
They have my back. 100%.
Yeah, they do.
Like
100%.
I cannot
100%.
say enough about the SDL community. I know I could literally call any of them right now. They would all pick up the phone. And I know for a fact they have my back. So you guys have become my friends. Like yeah. I actually, like I say that, like you guys are much more my friends than like just network.
Everybody needs to do that. The things that we're talking about are all things that we don't necessarily figure it out, but just to have an exchange instead of being on an island in a dealership where you're surrounded by the same people, complaining and griping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things are changing. And I'm going to tell you what, I believe in the next 3 to 5 years, if more and more men don't start getting on board, I think women outnumber in the workforce men now today anyway. I don't know where I got those statistics. I probably just made them up because it sounded good for the show today. I don't really know, but
but I think it's an important aspect to recognize is that like there does need to be open-mindedness. And I guess I did not realize that there was some people so stuck on the fact of the men and women difference. And like, don't even get me going into pay that women do not make nearly as what a man makes. And that is so frustrating, so annoying. But it's fact. It is factual information but women also don't ask for the raise. They don't go in and demand those types of things where, I don't know. I could go on all day, guys.
No,
it kind of sounds like you have to be pretty brave to be a woman. You got to come in, you got to tell them, I need to know how my space is going to be handled. And, it's probably not for everyone. It seems like it's very difficult, especially in a male dominated industry.
And I've never been a technician or a service manager. I've never worked in the dealership. That is actually like that. If I could just like take a year off and go and do that and come back, because I know that would help support me in our career and our company, I would absolutely do that, like in a heartbeat, because I think that would help us learn. But for not even just as a female, but just my own learning. And that's why I joined SDL, was so I could learn more about fixed operations in general. But I think for anybody hiring tech or hiring any position, take a chance on a female. Like don't pass them over just because they are female. Like take a chance on them because they might be scared. This might be their first step, but like challenge them and just say like, why are you here? Why do you want this? Because I think that's an important aspect, but also then you have HR rules of you can't bring up female or male in an interview. Right. So
that is so ridiculous. I know it. You listen, even though you haven't worked in that, still, what you've been able to achieve and overcome in this male dominated area is that people, the pulse of what's going on in the industry, and you're an educational, inspirational force for the people in the industry to say, hey, I better start looking at things a little differently. I better start respecting people in a different way. I need to start handling people in a different way. I need to engage more with my people and understand where they're coming from, because they're human, just like me. We all have needs, wants, and desires. And what mine are may not be yours, whether it's male or female. We have other driving, motivating factors. And that's something that you seem to hone in on.
Thank you. I
You bet.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, what do you think? It seems like all of these changes are coming on very abruptly,
Yeah.
as time goes so fast. But as a woman, and this is probably the same for a lot of non-women, but what are some of the mistakes you think you've made along the way, and how did you learn from them?
Good one.
Ooh, see, everybody listening, they don't prep you for these questions, just FYI.
No.
It is on the spot. So, I think everything was a learning. So I honestly, like, when I look at my career, I was able to grow really quick. And I think if I made a mistake, I was always too forward thinking of what's my next role? How do I get there? How do I grow? How do I achieve? Versus like sitting back and learning. And I think now in my career, I'm comfortable with where I am, but I'm also not like, oh, I can't wait for the next title. Like, I am learning, I am growing, just because my title hasn't changed or anything, that I've been able to just sit back, learn the job, learn the industry, and grow. And that's something that I think comes with more maturity. I think when I was 22 starting out as a entry-level salesperson, I was always like, how do I get to the management level as fast as possible? How do I do this? How do I do that? And now I have been in the same role technically for 4 years, but it's completely different than when I started. I have learned so much more, and I am still very happy with where I am, even though it's not a title change. Like, I still have so much more to learn, and I'm okay with that. So
yeah, I did that too. I did that too, where I was like, okay, I'm going to be the CMO. And I would go find places and do these jobs. I was working 60, 80 hours a week. And it was like, I finally came to the realization that I'm just going to do what I like to do.
Yes.
And be good at that. And I had no intention of going up to those heights again. And then I can't remember who it was, Russell, but somebody has told us, if you kind of just let things happen, they happen, instead of scrapping to the top, sort of.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, we've all, at different age groups, evolve and grow. And I don't try to really force things too much anymore. That's a lie. I do. No, but I'm a little bit more laid back than I used to be, because I guess what I realize, and if I'm hearing you correctly, Charity, is that over time, as you pivot and you want to go this, you want to go that, you start to realize that the few things that you're very good at, and that's where you focus your time and attention, and let other people do the things that or at least that I used to think I had to do. I would have never been this way 20 years ago in dealing with somebody like you, Kate, or somebody like Charity in this industry. I would have to have my finger on the pulse and understand and explain everything she's doing. I could care less because I really don't know. And she's extremely passionate and very good at that. I am not. And like I said, without her, I wouldn't be here. So I just let it go and let people be who they are. That's what you have to, and then inspire, find out what is. So I got to share something. Charity shared some files with me that I had no knowledge about in her past. And I started opening up and reading some of the things that she wrote. She's a journalist for a newspaper, and she had all these articles and stuff published, and with all different kinds of, I get goosebumps just some of the stuff I read. She is amazing. I never knew any of that stuff about her. I don't know why you kept that in the background, but I said something and she said, well, I asked it, share them with me. I've read many of them. They're just I guess that's what I realized. Just stay in our lane and do what we do best. And you've evolved and grown over the last 4 years versus how do I get to be a manager? How do I get to the top? How do I get to more money and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, it worked. I mean, it did work for a little bit, but now it's like, okay, let's enjoy this too. So,
well, I certainly can't imagine being a woman and what it's like in this industry with, prideful, ego, male dominated psyches, which is really when they're like that, they're insecure as hell when they're acting like that. They really are. And then what you said earlier about standing up, don't back down. You need to do that because a lot of men I've seen change their whole persona about women when they get checked a couple of times. They go, you know what? I'm going to have to rethink this whole thing, right?
exactly.
What do you think the automotive industry offers women that perhaps other industries don't, as far as career growth and building their future?
So much opportunity. Like, I did not understand this industry at all coming in. I had no idea the money you can make, the opportunities, the learning, the challenge. Like, I think it's different than like a well-defined career path that you can go so many different ways, and the skills that you learn in each role helps you get to a million different paths. Like, from being a tech to a service advisor to a service manager is completely different than me going my route, maybe learning, listening, and then becoming a service manager. You don't have to come up in a specific way to become to be in this industry. I think like it is open to outside opportunities. You don't need to know the car business is ultimately what I'm saying. You don't need to like cars. I do love cars. I am a car girl, but you don't have to be like that. I know so many people that know nothing about cars, but they've learned enough to get by.
Well, they're good with people.
Yes.
I mean, that's really what it is. In the end, you got people, products, and profits, right? People are it. You focus a lot on that, especially with new people coming into the industry. Automotive industry is actually free enterprise personified in so many different ways. And it, as large as it looks, it's really a very small, tight-knit community when you think about it.
It is. And that's what's weird about it is everybody does know everyone. But the thing is,
oh my God, it's scary.
It is weird. It is honestly, that is like,
it's like, dude, I mean, guy, gal. Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but the thing is that there's so much opportunity to learn. And the people I have met in this industry are the kindest, most loyal people that are open to teaching someone else. And that's the entire SDL community in general. But even outside of this, I talk to service managers, I've talked to owners, I've talked to CEOs of the companies, and they are open to talking and learning and not only teaching me, but also letting me teach them something. Because guess what? Our industry has changed. It has changed drastically to being open to having technicians, of growing. It's harder to find technicians than it's ever been, but yet we're also doing the same thing, is throwing money at something that's not working. And people are open to change. And that's what I do love. Just the automotive community is a little slower at the change. We got to push it along, but we're getting there, and they're at least open to discussing it.
There is. I think where people start to really push back on change, and the more they push back, at least in my experience in life, that's exactly where I needed to change, where I push it back the most, because it's so uncomfortable. It's so, you don't know what's on the other side. It's really scary. I grew up on the variable side. It's taken me a while to get in. This FixedOPS community is much tighter knit than the variable or front end side of it. I wish they were all together, because when I started selling cars and worked my way up, I worked the service drive. I learned a lot of very fascinating things. Here's one I learned. I've shared it on SDL before. You may not have been in that one. The six most powerful words in the English vocabulary is, I apologize. Can you forgive me? When you're listening to a customer in its heat case, I was in the service drive watching a service advisor handle this with a customer who came in ripping for about, it seemed like eternity. It was really only about 30 to 40 seconds. And then eye contact, acknowledgement. And as soon as she paused, he said those words, and she ended up apologizing. She calmed down. The gloves were off. I mean, it was amazing. I learned that in search drive. where I'm going with all that, when I started this company and I started getting some of these rooms, I'm a vendor. It's like,
I'm a vendor.
yeah, right. And it was really uncomfortable. And I think it was Ed Roberts, maybe it was Dave Foy back in the early days, said, listen, just keep showing up, keep learning, which I already knew that, but because I see vendors come and go all the time in these rooms looking for like a quick meal type of thing, somebody they can contact. This community is not like that. They are
It doesn't go far. It does not go far to join a community, send out all your LinkedIn messages, and then see you later. Like, oh, I've exhausted that. And the thing is naturally I do work with a lot of the STL service managers and
me too,
which is great, but also that wasn't my intention of it, because honestly, like I tell my team this, I tell so many people about Service Drive Live, but just educating yourself and how much more that's not only going to help me as a vendor, but also just in this community. And that has helped drive my passion more. I care more about it. I see so much more opportunity. And it's just the more you know, the more you learn and open to it, is going to help further your career, no matter where you are at.
It
and
really
it's
is.
okay to not know everything. I do not know everything, but I do like learning about it. So
yeah, I'll tell you, the people that pop in that think they do know everything, you can sense the vibe in the room.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my God, here we go. Here's another, here's one, but everybody's calling. They try, you try to find the nuggets that are really good there. But I've seen people like that even calm down and relax and just enjoy what's going on, because we all have tremendous opportunity here. And now we're in the right position. You're in the right position. I'd like to ask, where do you, so you get these calls all the time for technicians, right? And advisors, how do you find them? And is there really a shortage, or is this some preconceived notion because these people went other places because they were never taken care of and weren't respected? What is your take on that?
So you asked me 3 questions in one right there. I don't know if
I
you
did.
noticed that.
I did. I'm good at that.
So the first question is, I don't find them. We're not finding them for a specific client. We're not headhunting. What we're doing is, everyone has a different need in a job. So Charity, when you were looking probably for your job, you wanted someone who's going to be flexible, that you can stay at home, raise your kids, have that balance, which is completely different to me of, I want to get the hell out of my house. I don't want to work from home. I'm not good at it. But really, both of us are probably very well qualified people, but it's not the right job. Well, for a technician, you guys know every single dealership is different. Their training is different. Their pay is different. Their benefits are different. Their work environment is different. The need is different for each place. And some people want that corporate feel where they can grow the ladder. That is me. That is totally, and it's funny, I work for a startup now. But also other people want that mom and pop feel of just a single standalone dealership. The thing is that every single dealership, or most dealerships, they're proud of what they've created, the environment they have. They need to show why someone should choose them. So that is really what we're doing, is from an employer branding standpoint, is why should a technician choose you? Why are you going to better their career? And give them the opportunity to understand it and help them create content that supports that brand, because career pages are terrible. Their social posts are always variable focused. Talking to the crier right now, but that's the thing that's different, is you need to show off what you have from an employer standpoint. So that is what we are doing. Your second question was, is there actually a shortage? Hell yes. There is. I mean, if you talk to local schools and how many kids are entering their programs or how those programs are failing, that's a whole nother topic. That I think of it from my perspective is, I was pretty much forced to go to a 4-year school, whether my family could afford it or not. And let me tell you, they could not afford to send me to school. And I'm still paying student loans today for my undergrad. I paid cash for my master's though. So like, how stupid is this? I'm still paying for my undergrad though. Like 0 cents. But that's the thing, is I would have been looked upon differently if I would have chose the trade school route. That is how our school systems are set up, and we need to change that. And something we really work with is to help educate the population, because Charity and me need to be okay with our kids going to a tech school. We need to be okay with that.
I'm totally fine with that.
But to me, I'm like, oh yeah, they'll go to college, but I'm like, but why? Like, I have to check myself. So it's different. I forgot the third question by now because I've been talking for 10 minutes.
I did too, but I want to make a comment about that because unless the numbers have changed. So we're taught to go to school, get good grades. Okay. So you can get into a good college. You take out these loans, you get a degree 4 to 6 years later, you come out and 92% of those people are heavily debt laden, like what you're talking about. And they don't even work in the field that they got the degree in.
No.
And right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, my best sales guy right now went to school to like, he was like, education, like resident assistants working in like director of housings for colleges, and actually worked at a tech school, and he's my best sales guy. And he has a master's degree in everything.
So even with, and you correct me if I'm wrong, whether you're yes, to achieve technician, there's a lot of schooling you have to go to, but to get started and to make good money, listen, I know technicians that make over $200,000 a year.
As do I.
And they do not have college degrees.
No.
Or
and
debt.
Guess what? They don't have to go to tech school right away.
Right.
Start an apprentice in high school. Find a shop that will literally pay for it for you.
Yeah.
They might send you to school. They might send you straight to like Ford or whatever OEM and skip the tech school part. Like there are so many other opportunities out there. Like Wrenchway did not pay for me to go to school. Like, let's be honest.
Right.
Like,
or let's say you're not a technician type of man or woman. Okay. But you are a great people person. You can make easily over $100,000 a year. You don't even have to have a high school diploma. It's amazing. I mean, I hope a lot of people hear that because they think, oh no, what about EV stuff coming? Are you hearing scuttlebutt about, oh, instead of being like a grease monkey, they're going to be working with computers now and making really good money. Is it more attractive?
But they've always been working with computers. I mean,
Yes,
how many computers are in my Buick Enclave? Like,
exactly.
So that's the thing that annoys me a little bit. I don't have a take on whether or not things should go EV. I'm not political on that standpoint, but with it is there are technicians that are scared that they don't want to learn all the new stuff. Well, let's be honest, it's going to be years and years and years before you're going to see all
long time.
So that part of it, but the second part of it is like, I guess I don't know a lot on for Michigan, but Michigan just passed a huge grant for education on EVs. Like they're starting to try to attract more of those students, those apprentices. It might be apprenticeships, maybe their funding's for something. It just came out yesterday, but I think that's an important thing, that there is support out there, and it should be an attractive thing. It is something that you guys like, suck it up. We're moving that way. There's nothing we can do about it. So, and I'm very much like, if I can't control something, I'm not going to bitch about something. It's just, it's the way things are going, and we just got to accept it. So
it is. Charity and I have really done the best we can and continuing to dispel the myth that, oh my God, the car business as we know it is over. It's going to be a generation or two. There's still.
My husband's car is 14 years old, and guess what? It's paid off, and we're not. So it's going to be
right. So even and they're coming in 2 or 3 times. But even if the average what family has 3 cars now, even if one of them's EV, the other 2 are gas or diesel.
You can't
or whatever.
afford 2 EVs. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No. Exactly.
Yeah, that's why my husband's car.
Because EV right now is political. But apparently you get conversations just like we do, and we do our best to dispel it. Yeah, it's coming. Okay. Embrace it. We don't know exactly how it's going to end up, but 200 or 300 mile average will be 600 or 700. Maybe lithium goes away. Who knows? Look at the crap we got to go through just to produce these kind of cars, the deplorable, inhumane conditions just to gather these minerals and metals. It's horrible, but it's coming.
From a technician standpoint though. So I think to take it not political is to talk more about like, how does this impact the technician from a day-to-day? Obviously there's training and there's pay. Those are big things. And then there's parts that as a leader and of a dealership is you need to recognize those things and tell the technicians you're going to change as we change, and like your pay will change. We will compensate you accordingly. And if that's changing your flat rate scale, that's okay. You need to be open to adjusting, because if it is taking them 5 hours to diagnose a car, you do have to pay them. I am sorry, but that is how the world works. Like, there will be changes and there will be dealerships that lose people over that. But I think the ones that are more forward facing towards those changes will be the ones that, one, they care about their people. They want to compensate them accordingly. And guess what? It's change. That's the way we have to live with it. But I think those are the ones that are going to succeed with talent, because they're the ones at least having the conversation of, hey, I know this is scary, but guess what? Have I ever failed you? No, I'm going to take care of you through it. We'll be fine. Those are the ones that are going to succeed through this.
So I know in some of the rooms that we're in and some of the things you hear, I'm a huge proponent, and I hear it in SDL and SNL and all, the mastermind, et cetera. What do you think about transparency and how the mentality is shifting with that from?
Have you seen Wrenchway?
Yes, that's why I'm bringing that up.
It's very transparent, but guess what? That's what they need. And not every, like, number one, like New York passed a law that you have to post the salaries out there, and all of that information needs to be disclosed. It's the same thing. I'm like, say I was looking for a job. I am not going to apply for a job unless I know it's going to fit in my pay range, because I am not going to take a pay cut. Like, one, I can't afford to.
Why keep it a secret, right? Yeah.
So that's the thing. And I have to buy an EV someday, like, whatever. Did you like that?
Yeah, I did. I love that one. Yeah.
It's expensive. So I think that transparency is huge. And as someone, so we talk a lot about how much of the market is actually looking for a job, less than 5%, but 75% of the market is okay with where they're at. They're content. That's the market that you want. They're working, they're educated, they have gone through the training, and you want to convince them to come and work for you. Well, you are not going to get someone to go to an interview to hear all of the bad things about you, to realize, like, this is not a fit. That is a waste of their time. You have to be transparent to gain their interest, because they will make a move if they know not only is your pay and benefits good, but is this going to better my career? Am I going to be happier here? Because we lose technicians because they do not enjoy where they're working, who they're working with, and they don't see a career path. I mean, that was the number one thing we talked about, I feel like, at the Service Drive Live event in Chicago, was technicians need to know what their career path is. So if you're transparent on those things, you will naturally attract the right people.
And that's what you're all about and what you do.
Yes.
Finding homes for people that are not suited here. It's amazing how many people are working, but they're really not happy, and they would really like another fit. And some of them, maybe it is about money, career path. Some of it may not be. Some of it may need flexibility and more time with the family, or not as much stress, right?
Well, 100%, or having the flexibility to be able to volunteer at 7:30 every Wednesday morning. Like, it's different for each person. And so with that, what I was going to say is that for the ones that are looking for a job, there's so much frustration of someone coming in, interviewing, getting an offer, going back to their current employer to get a pay raise. They're not applying and interviewing for the right reason. They're just applying so they get a pay raise at their current place. Do you want that employee?
I didn't know people did that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Right now.
It's rampant.
It happens all over the board, but that's who's within that 5%. So how many, and I don't know the actual stat, but within that 5%, how many are actually looking for a job that's a good candidate? Who's the shit candidates, and who's the ones just looking for a pay raise? All within 5%. So that's where I get mind blown of ones that are throwing money at things that aren't going to get you the results, because really the ones that you want are the ones that are either just content or they hate their job and they leave the industry altogether. And people, I think 40% of techs leave within 2 years of joining the industry because they are not finding a comfortable place to work.
That's terrible. I was talking to somebody recently. I've actually heard it many times, that you can't find technicians on their staff page. Everybody else is on their staff page, but they're technicians, because other stores are trying to pluck them.
Well, if you treated them well, do you think they would still go?
No.
Exactly. You should not be afraid to post who's working for you. You should be.
So what does that tell you, right? Yeah.
And you should be proud of it. And so that's another thing that we do is today is Veterans Day. And so are you shouting out those technicians, or are you too afraid to show who they are because you're afraid they're going to, if someone goes up and approaches them, that they're going to leave you? Like
Yeah.
there's a difference. Like they're going to be like, wow, you actually care about me. You're posting me on your Facebook page, or, hey, I have worked here for 10 years. Happy anniversary. That's showing you care about them.
Yeah.
That is showing them that you want them to stay and that they mean a lot to your
Yeah.
organization. They're not in the back.
Right. Yeah. They
Got
don't need
lots of opinions.
yeah, they don't need, well, there is, but when you boil down to just human beings being human beings, they want to, and to various degrees, you don't need to hand a trophy out for them showing to work on time. I'm not talking, but people want to know they count, they matter, they make a difference, they're appreciated, they're a part of something, and you need to let them know from time to time. And
Absolutely.
not where every day you got to pat them on the back, because that's the wrong kind of employee. You want people that are confident, mature, and know that they're capable, but they still want to be a part of. They still want to be a part of. Yeah.
Well, what advice do you think you would give to some of the upcoming women leaders in automotive?
In what sense? Like from...
Well, I mean, just in general, you have experience as, I would define you as a leader in automotive. And, if there are, maybe a little older than high school kids kind of looking for this industry and to grow their careers, what advice would you give them?
I would say being open-minded, but also speaking your mind of like, you need to listen to the room, but also don't be afraid to share your opinion. They're not always going to accept it. They're not always going to be happy about it. And it might not go your way, but just because you didn't win one battle doesn't mean next time when you're at the table, you're quiet about it because you think you're going to get shut down again. Keep voicing your opinions and work hard, show them who you are. I mean, I would tell anybody that to be able to be a leader is you need to not be worried about what everybody else is doing. You need to do your job really well. But then when you are asked or you have an idea, you bring it up.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important, because you and Charity are both in automotive, and you're both women, and you're both in leadership roles, and women are watching you closer than you probably think. They're watching not necessarily what you say, but they're watching your actions as well, and what you do, what you're involved with, and how you're working through things. And I'm sure if somebody wants something, I shied away, but I realized at some point in time in my life, without getting into a long dissertation, that I wanted more, and I need to take responsibility for where I was at. And if I wanted something, I need to reach out to somebody who had it and tap them on the shoulder and said, "Hey, I'd like to pick your brain. I'd like to get some." I trusted them, and thinking that I wasn't going to be used or abused, but I trusted what they said to me. And I think there's women are being watched real close in automotive for the younger ones that are up and coming, because they want to participate too. They want to know, how in the hell did you break through a man's world like that?
I would always ask them to ask questions and just be okay not knowing anything. I started on LinkedIn posting videos about where we had technicians. Like, I was not overly confident. Like, I look back and I had weird red hair, like things were just weird. But I think it's important that you have to start somewhere. And I was the first one to admit I don't know it all. So let me ask a question and get your feedback. And that's what a lot of my videos started out as, in just letting people know who I was, but I'm out here to learn and to understand, not coming out guns blazing. I know it all. Like, nobody likes that person. So I think it's being okay with not knowing everything. And I think that's also something that comes with age, is you just learn. You learn it's okay to be not the smartest person in the room, but you want to be in the room with the smartest person, because guess what? You're going to learn from them.
Listen, people, everybody started in the same place. And that's at the beginning, taking the first step. And they all, maybe they're good here, but they're not so good here. It's just a learning process, but you just got to get started, step out, take a risk, right?
Yeah. And that's what I did. And it's amazing of what I've learned, the connections I've made, and just more how I've grown as a leader. I have much more confidence in what I'm doing every day. And also, it feeds passion and feeds my energy and my support of my company and what I'm able to do for Wrenchway. And it helps every aspect.
It's a great company. And what you're
Mhm.
doing is a extremely valuable contribution and service to the industry. It really is.
And great people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have to agree. It is, everybody here is great.
You better, because Jay and everybody's listening to you, or they will shortly.
Well, they're on the other side of the wall over there, probably listening to me. So no.
Well, I have one last question that kind of goes into, women in automotive. We've talked a little bit about, what women can get out of the automotive industry if they're considering that as a career path. But what if we flip that? What can women give the automotive industry as
Wow.
they join and work in it? What do you think?
So I think female leaders have a different touch. And I think, so I think of the organization. I was just talking to a man, a service director, and he was very proud that they had a woman CEO and how different it was, and just the different influence a female has as a leader than a man does. And I don't know the right word, and if you guys can think of it, let me know, but it's a female's touch, almost, of like being able to lead, being open, having that support, having a different perspective, not always like hit your numbers, you got to do this, and like leading with fear. It's more of connecting them to the business. And he had just
Servant leaders is what they are. Yeah.
and just more complimented the team so much more. And when he was talking about that, he's like, I've worked with so many men, and this is my first female I've worked for, and everybody just, they support the cause much more than they support the paycheck. Like they are
Wow.
there to grow the industry. And I think that says a lot, that even when we go in and look at it, we look at it at a completely different perspective. When we're at the table, we're all talking about different ideas, and women do just think differently. But also, it's funny, I'll talk to some owners and they're like, oh, I don't want a female technician. And then I have 10 more owners like, I want a female technician because they're more detail oriented. Their hands are smaller. They can get different things. And like, it's so funny, but they do say it, but like just the detail orientation and the different perspective on diagnostics. So men and women are created different, and there's so much opportunity that women can teach men. So
That's great. That's great. Now we are, we got a few with quick fire questions. Is that what they are, Charity?
Yeah, we can call them that.
Yeah. So Chair, I'm going to let you ask them.
Okay, they're really quick. They're meant to be a little bit more fun, more lighthearted. So name 3 things that really stand out to you in the automotive industry.
Loyalty, everybody knows each other, and the other thing would be opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And I really like this one. If you could give your 18-year-old self some advice, what would you say?
I would say party more in college is like was boring in college. But on a serious purpose.
Well, that's good. I mean, I never heard that one.
That's my answer. Party more in college.
All right. Well, we like to also give you the floor at the end of our conversations. If there's anything we've missed or anything that you especially wanted to say, you're welcome to say it.
Kate Beirowski, tell us whatever you want, say whatever, ask any questions. How do people get a hold of you, etc.? It's all yours.
Okay. So I would first of all say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Throwing more money at problems doesn't fix it. It takes time, and it's supposed to be hard. Otherwise, everyone would do it. So you have to change, you have to adjust. And that's in every aspect of the business. Obviously, I'm thinking recruiting and attracting technicians, but it's in every aspect of what you're doing. So if it's easy, it's probably not the best way to do it. There's more to do. If Wrenchway, if you ever want to talk about attracting employees, I'm Kate. You can reach me out. I'm on LinkedIn. So Kate Beirowski. Otherwise, email me. It's easy. It's kate@wrenchway.com. And I would tell anybody, ask questions and learn.
Love it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Everybody out there, listen. There's going to be so many different shorts come out. You need to watch every one of them so you can hear some things probably that you didn't even know about Kate. but we're really excited and honored and humbled that you came on. Another exciting, successful episode of WTF, and that's what the Fixed Ops to everybody out there. Like her, like us, share, love, make comments, spread the news about Kate and Wrenchway. Kate Beirowski, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Kate.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us on WTF, and that's what the Fixed Ops. We're working hard to bring you a strong lineup of automotive experts in our up and coming schedule. Did you know we're also available on all your favorite podcasting destinations? If you didn't, you do now. Try it out, and while you're there, leave us a review. We encourage you to do that. It really helps spread the word. Thanks again, and we appreciate your support.